You have the frame.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Page Go podcast, where there's no contracts and no commitments. Today we have a special guest, Miss Dela Cruz.
What's up?
It's an audio.
It's an audio.
Audio
Nice.
podcast. But,
Thanks, Erla. Hey, what's up? What's poppin'?
Quick background about Christina and I. We grew up in the same building. We grew up together. And we watched each other grow into adulthood and slip and fall and persevere and whatnot. But I'm like, you take it over from here. Tell us a bit about yourself. Just a quick...
About myself.
Yeah, a quick rundown on you, your stuff, what you do for a living, because I think it's very interesting.
So, I was born and raised here in Toronto. I did a lot of weird different recreations from a young age, but dance just kind of stuck. And I did it mostly at a community center. I did like a little bit of like recreational stuff here and there at local studios, but most of it is just like community-based like learning. And I decided like this is lit. I really want to do this. I feel like this is something I'm really good at and that feels like it's important to me. And I auditioned for Ryerson Theater School, and they have a very prestigious ballet program, and I didn't get in. And I was like, that's it.
How old are you?
When you're going into university, so it would have been
18?
like 17, 18.
Oh no, for me it was like 19 or 20.
Nice, yeah.
You know.
For the rest of us, or whatever. Everyone's journey is different. But yeah, I didn't get in, and I was like, oh, it's not for me. And like obviously, my like hard knocks immigrant mom was happy because she was like, fuck being an artist. Yeah. This is what you're supposed to do. Go to U of T. I went to U of T, and my first year I was super unhappy. I was like, I failed a class, which is super not like me. I was just like kind of trudging through, just like, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm supposed to do. That was kind of like my rude awakening. Like everyone in my life was like, this is not you, something's got to give. So I was like, okay, and I like went in the complete opposite direction, and I took a year off the year afterwards, and I just worked like just like a little serving job, and I danced full time, and I kind of feel like it was like history from there. Then I was like, okay, I can do this just on my own terms, like not the Ryerson version of the dream. And from there, I kind of like finished my degree slowly and like jankily while dancing and working on the side. And then when I graduated, it took me a while to eventually give up like I call them like Joe jobs, like average Joe jobs, so like serving, like teaching, like community stuff. And to fully start dancing full time. And then I danced full time in Toronto for a couple years before I was like, okay, like it's time to level up, like what's next? And it really felt like a couple of mentors in my life were like, you got to go to the States. Like that's
where it is.
If you want to push this as far as you can and take it to like really the edge of where you can go, that's it. So then I began my visa process to get a visa to work legally in the States, which is extremely complicated and really hard, but all thanks to God, I got it.
Allah.
Inshallah. I got it, and I moved there in 2017. And yeah, I've been really blessed ever since. Like, I work like kind of half and half, like in the music industry with like, rappers, singers, pop artists, and in film and television. So like that happens more often when I'm in Toronto, like movies, TV shows, commercials, and yeah.
I never knew this. You said you tried like your learning is based in community center. Like you're saying CYC.
Errol, that's hold on, y'all getting this? That's the craziest thing ever. Like sometimes I'm on a job with like girls that are like, when I was 2, my mom put me in gymnastics, and then she paid thousands and thousands of dollars a year for like these really competitive dance programs where amazing choreographers would come in from. And then here I am with like Shallie and Christine and Lindsay, like trying to like watch Sean Paul videos in our living rooms.
That's
like
crazy.
Yeah, right. And so like obviously like in that kind of gap year I talked about when I stopped going to U of T. Yeah. That's when I really started to think about like kind of like it at a professional grade level. Yeah. But like that's already starting really late.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
I think a lot of people, especially right now that there's like a lot of like Disney film and television in Toronto, a lot of people are like working from the age of 16, 17, which makes sense for them because they've been training since they were like 3.
Yeah, that honestly, I didn't know that. For some reason, I thought that you had a higher level of training. No disrespect to the main dancers.
I mean,
CYC.
absolute disrespect. We can be honest about it.
No,
he was really making it up as we went.
I literally, I seen some of the routines. hungover days, come into work, and just. But yeah, no, that's very impressive. I wanted to talk about that because a lot like. I guess it's not the same journey, but me playing football and like just the grind, and like a lot of people don't know, like what it takes to reach a level that high. Like even I guess university too. Like, and after taking the bump in the head, like saying, hey, listen, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like what was the actual like no, you're not good enough, or like. Or
well,
like,
so also this is some hard-headed hood girl stuff.
Yeah.
Because I decided
Mm-hmm.
after learning how to willy bounce at a community center that I was good enough to try out for the foremost, most elite ballet school in all of Canada.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever, like how crazy this gotta be. Like I could get nice, like let me get nice.
Mm-hmm.
I took a longer span, but not often, of just like hobbyist ballet classes. So that's like for you, like a couple guys throwing
football. Oh my
tag
goodness.
football, and then like going to the combine and being like, yeah,
I'm
it's
ready.
lit. I'm
Sign
ready.
me up.
Yeah, and you're up next to people and you don't even know. Like I came in like a purple bodysuit.
Yeah.
Like, and think about it, everybody's dressed the exact same.
You were Aunt Viv?
I was
just like Aunt Viv?
I was Aunt Viv,
Yeah.
but not in a good way, because the judges were not Aunt Viv. The judges were like, and they kept me for an interview because I swear to God, they were just like, so like, what are you smoking?
Yeah.
Why
are you
how
okay?
did you get here?
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, I really love dance. It's lit. Ray.
You've never talked like that.
I mean, I was definitely very emphatic about like, oh yeah, like this is great.
Mm-hmm.
I got an interview. That's a positive sign.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I
you
feel
were
like
in
they
your
were
head like, oh, we're in.
Yeah. I was like, this is promising.
Yeah. Wow.
So I didn't get in, which now I realize, like, one was like a really big blessing because like that wasn't the program for me. Ballet is not where my heart is.
Yeah.
And two, like, it was kind of like it was a pivot. I think.
Yeah. No, and I think pivots are necessary because you need to like change, reroute, redress, and relocate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes sense. But like I said,
It does.
How many hours do you think in the last 15 years you spent dancing? Like, if you could like conjure, just to throw out a number, like a rough estimate of how many
let's
hours.
do the math. Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So like dancing, like doesn't matter what kind of dancing. Like,
yeah, like
so
just
long as
just
my body's
like
moving. Because
exactly.
there's like class, there's work, there's like
Well, okay,
my
so
personal training.
you do your specialty is like hip hop and like.
Yeah. I would say hip hop choreography. Hip hop freestyle is like more kind of like my personal thing.
Mm-hmm,
like I don't really get hired for it often.
Yeah.
A lot of the jobs I'm doing is hip hop choreography.
Okay, so how much hip hop choreography have you done? How many hours?
I think so. It fluctuates.
Mm-hmm. No, just give me in the
I
last
don't
15
know.
years.
That's a crazy question to ask.
No, just throw something out there. Just.
I would say I probably do like. At a peak, I was doing like 12 to 15 hours a week of like very high intensity like class and training and rehearsal.
12 to 15 hours a week. Okay,
So that's what is
50,
that? 500
52?
something, 600
52?
something a year. 600 times 10, right? Am I doing this math right?
No,
Let us know in the comments.
12 times 52. No, wait.
12 times 50 is like, I was doing 10 times 50 just like, because
So like 600 hours, around 600 hours, 640 hours. Am I right? 624. Oh my goodness. 12 times 52?
You're giving big like a beautiful mind
624.
energy right now.
I think so. 624. Someone check it out for me.
624 a year.
Okay.
But that's like, honestly, like I asked like, what do you mean by like dancing hours? Because like also like there's so many different things that go into that.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the hours that I'm just like at my computer researching dance.
Okay, yeah, count that too because it's important.
I don't know.
How much hours have you dedicated to dance and like perfecting your craft? I think because hip hop is like very specific, but dance is very broad. And if you get better in classical, maybe
like,
you get improved in hip hop.
Technically, like working out is
mm-hmm.
contributing to my craft. Like, okay, yoga. Errol and I have very contentious opinions about hip hop. I would just like to clarify that. About hip hop, about working out. Errol and I have contentious opinions about
I know.
out.
I said I'm talking about the hours you're saying you put in to work out. I'm just waiting for the number you're saying.
It's like a good amount.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
I work out sometimes. But like anything that's like yoga, if I take like a boxing class, I see that as contributing to my craft. So like I don't know, it feels crazy to put an hour number on 15 years.
Just throw something out there, like
Okay,
would be more than 5,000 hours.
Yeah, sure. Well, because if we're saying 600 a year, then more than 5,000 for 15 years.
But no, and 600 is it's gonna be more than that because like you said, there's like research.
Okay, let's say
and
1,000.
learning.
1,000 a year.
Okay.
So 15,000 hours. That sounds like a lie. Like I don't even.
No,
know
it doesn't. It usually takes 10 years to get your 10,000 hours. Let's say 1,000. That's like.
Is that like
for
an
it to be?
actual...
Yeah, like. I'm fumbling through this, but it's in the book The Outliers, by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about like in order to be an expert at something, you have to put 10,000 hours into it, like of work of like
yes.
of like figuring out learning your craft.
Right.
So you thought I was bullshitting at first when I.
No, I didn't think you were bullshitting, but I just didn't know what you were getting at.
Yeah,
wanting to have a number on it.
Yeah, no. So I'm just trying to figure out how much work you put in, like how much like heartbreak, how much tears, how much pain. Have you ever been injured?
Yeah, I want to say like there were a lot of points in my life where I think it would be more productive to count the hours that I wasn't devoting to dance. That's how much time I spent on dance.
Oh, that's.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's
like there were
like
hours in the day that I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Like or like things like holidays. Like I miss so many birthdays. I miss so many like just like Father's Day, Mother's Days, whatever.
Yeah.
And like now that I'm like finally kind of trying to reassociate my values around family and like community and stuff, I'm like, oh, I really was just guns blazing, like didn't care about anyone for a really long time.
There was a phase where you went like how many years without drinking, without like how long was that?
I think almost 3.
Yeah. See, and you like how old were you when like that was like in the prime of like party time. That's like so like even to do that, like there's a lot of people who are like trying to make it, but they don't understand sacrifice. They don't understand like what it takes to, like you said, you miss engagements, parties, thing with your family. Like it was only about you, and I think for me, I understand it in a way, and I wish that I could have been more dedicated to my craft, because like although I spent like I think maybe I'm like a fluke, or because I didn't really spend that much hours like playing. Like I obsessed, like in my mind I was obsessing about it and like knowing like what my dream was, what my goal was, but there's so much more I could have done.
Okay.
You know, like for you, I feel like you exhausted all your options. Like you really made sure you said, you know what, I'm not taking a chance here. I'm not even gonna drink. I can't go to this party because I have this rehearsal or I have this practice. Where I was like, I worked out 4 days a week. We're drinking, or like I didn't commit to certain things when I should have.
Okay.
And it ultimately didn't cost me at the end. So I got lucky. Yeah. But then I broke my back. So then there's karma for you.
No, first of all, that's not karma. That's just life.
Yeah. True.
And I want to say 2 things. One, I want to say that I think the time that you're spending, devoting mentally is part of the hours.
Yeah.
Because I think that starts to like manifest.
No. You know, I'm glad you said it, because I've been looking at a lot of posts and a lot of people talking about like, ching 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 goes the money tree, and when it comes to me, and like they have these like charms, and they're like, no, I'm writing it down in the book, and like I'm devoting
like manifestation.
Yeah, the manifestation, and like it's that manifestation doesn't work if you're not doing like manifestation. I think the real meaning of manifestation is like in my mind, I see something, and then because I see something and I want it, I start to take steps to do it. Someone posted today on Instagram, my bank account will be, it was like $900 trillion by tomorrow.
I've seen those.
Amen. At the end, like what? What? Like no, like you're gonna die poor if that's what you're gonna do. Right. But it's like, yo, if I want $9 trillion, like what's the first step I have to take in order to get, like maybe I have to get $100 and then I have to get $1,000, and like, but that's the real manifestation, is through hard work and trying to get there, versus like I really want $1 billion, or I want a mansion,
and I'm just gonna want that and want that and want
and then one day it's just gonna fall in my lap. It just, that is not real. It's not real, Barbs. You'll never beat me in basketball. Stop manifesting it.
The other thing I wanted to say is that I think what's also really tricky is that I think we both had kind of the fundamental periods for our growth were staggered.
Yeah.
So yours was much younger, which is really a lot harder for you to develop that kind of discipline around. Mine shifted when I took that year off. So I was already like almost 20.
Yeah.
And then it took me like, some years of struggle, and then I think I stopped drinking when I was like 22, 23. You know what I mean? And I think like kind of like your game time is like kind of coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Your brain's not fully developed, and your brain's not able to like think about sacrifice the same way you are when you're a little older, and you feel like you actually have skin in the game. You're like especially as a dancer, I feel like athletes feel this too. You're thinking about a clock. You're like, my body's deteriorating.
Yeah, I have
right?
10 years left, or yeah, for sure.
But you're not thinking that when you're 17. You're like, I'm gonna be young forever. I feel lit now. I'm gonna feel like this forever.
Yeah, and probably CTE too. Like,
what's CTE?
Like when football players get it, when they run into each other, it's like the concussion thing. You never watch concussion? You don't know anything about CTE? It's like athletes who like are involved in like high impact sports. They get CTE, like it's called CTE. It's like
a brain thing.
Yeah, where you're getting so much concussions that your mind starts to like you go crazy. You're like a little crazy.
Oh,
yeah, hockey players, football.
So
like
scary.
You probably have a little CTE too. Like no, from like dancing. Dancers definitely get CTE. If it's if it's not
diagnosing me live on the podcast.
Listen, it's not a sport if you don't have CTE.
Okay, no, I don't know.
But they're saying like
golf.
It's not. No, that's a precision. It's different. You might get CTE if you get hit by the ball. But they're saying it's like the shaking, like the constant moving, your brain bouncing across your head. You get like, So you just research it after. You'll be like, oh, this is a real thing too. But it's a thing. So, but like it's like they're being more impulsive. They take more chances. This is Aaron Hernandez had it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you get a little buggy. So maybe it was a good thing that I got out of the game early. And I never really played that much. I only played high school. I played 1 year of rep. Then I went to prep school. I played that season. I went to Vancouver. I'm so stupid. I don't even I'm still sorry because I'm like, I should have just stayed where I was at. The opportunities were there, but I would just.
When? Vancouver or prep
No,
school?
when I was in North Carolina. Like I had offers to go to Division I schools, but they said you have to stay either in this prep school again or go to a junior college. But imagine I just did my 5th year at Central Tech.
Right.
Now I'm going.
You're ready. You're like a horse in the gate. Like,
I'm embarrassed. I'm like, first off, to do a 5th year is whatever. Everybody in Central Tech was doing a 5th year.
Yeah.
But now I'm coming to this prep school and I'm sitting there. I'm 19. I'm sitting. There's 17-year-olds and I'm like.
Isn't it so crazy now? That doesn't really matter.
At all. But I didn't know. And then they said you have to stay 1 more year. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be staying on this dirt road in North Carolina.
Where in North Carolina?
Fayetteville.
Where is that from? Like the centers? What do I know? Columbus? No, that's South Carolina.
No, it's North Carolina. Fayetteville is the city.
Charlotte?
No, it's.
Is it like close?
It's kind of it's like maybe like an hour away, but it's like
it's really
a country.
Small? Oh damn.
It's like a university. It would be a university town, but if it's a country though, it's just one road. Just picture Yonge Street, but like it's just a dirt road, and you have like. There's college like they have North Carolina Central and other like, but it was just like.
And so you would have had to do another year there to go to a better division school.
No. Well, to go to because what it is I didn't pass the clearinghouse. So there's a thing where you go to the States versus going to Canada. When you want to go to university, you use your core 8, right? Like your last 4 university.
Your highest.
Yeah, your 4, but your last grade 11, 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
In America, it's from grade 9 to grade 12.
Disrespectful.
Cumulative.
Oh, God, it would have been quiet for me.
So I was like, wait, what? And I didn't know this. No one told me. So when they're telling me like, okay, yeah, now what? I'm like, they're like looking at my marks like, oh, yeah, you're gonna have to do another year. And I'm like, what? I'm from Toronto, Ontario. To go to North Carolina, I got off the plane drunk. I was drinking, partied on a plane to go to school because you're 19.
Yeah.
21 in America. Now I'm sitting on this dirt road. I don't have no car. I can't. It was so yeah. So. But needless to say, my journey, your journey, all different people were pursuing something in that nature. Where it's like there's a finite people who get in, and there's a time limit. You're gonna find your own hurdles, and I think the main thing is focus and what would you say? Like my thing would be focus. Resilience is
good.
And yeah, and just like be prepared to get hurt. Like it's like
Like physically or emotionally?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say your top things? Like, if you're telling anybody who's about to go for something crazy, like something out of the ordinary, not a regular job. What do you call it? Joe's?
A Joe job.
Not a Joe job. If you're gonna go for something like incredible, where people are like, oh, wow, but really like, oh, good luck. What would you say are your like 3 things you would give to people?
So this is just like fundamental to me being the daughter of an immigrant, my mom being a single mom, my mom being Filipino, me being a Capricorn. Just work harder.
Don't you ever try to slip that in about the zodiac sign. Had nothing to do with it.
Okay, tell us in the comments if you know somebody that works harder than the Capricorns in your life. I promise you, 10 times out of 10, this is the zodiac hill I will die on.
Okay. All right.
But just like you have to work harder.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, that was really my edge because like, it's crazy. Like, you know, a lot of the girls I came up dancing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was never the best one.
Who?
We were all like really at the same level. Lindsay, Sarah, Laveda. No, but see, you're remembering it now differently because you know who I am today. But I promise you, like, I really felt like I was just in the weeds with them and like training.
Yeah.
Carly was incredible. Carly started choreographing.
Oh, Carly
for us
was actually a good dancer.
in like the last years. You know what I mean? So it's not like I was a standout, but the one thing that always put me apart was I would work harder.
Yeah.
I would stay later. I would go to more classes. When people were like, I kind of want a day off, I'd be like, I don't get that because I kind of tricked myself into thinking I didn't really have the natural talent that everyone did, but I wanted it so bad. And then also like coming along with that is like, you can work harder if you actually love the work. And that's something I think a lot of people aren't really trying to like discern in themselves. A lot of people have to do the self-work and like really look at themselves in the mirror and say, do I want the end goal or am I having fun on the road? Because not even to be like sappy or like you should enjoy the journey. It's like you won't last if you don't enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the gym, you know, training, like to be like, I'm just doing this to be sexy is different. But if you're enjoying every rep, like, you know, I mean,
you're a psychopath. You're a psychopath. But there's
to be an artist, a little bit, you have to be a psychopath.
Absolutely. I need that CTE back. I need my CTE back. Honestly, no.
First of all, can you knock on wood? That's awful.
I lost something though. It's like before I was just like no. I refused to even listen. If you said no, I'm like, okay, you're a psychopath. I would think you're a psychopath for thinking that I couldn't do it. Like when I was 14, I just decided I'm gonna go to the league. I never even played football before. I'm just like, I was going to Jarvis and I'm like, I went into a math class and they were talking about something I still don't know how to do. In grade 9, I said, no, this is not for me. So I got off. I left the class. I went on a bus to Central Tech and I said, like, I think I can play football. And then I just joined it. I went to school.
Was it because you did track? You were always really good at track, right?
Yeah, but see, like I was good at track, but I never practiced. I was just fast. Yeah. And I think I probably
That's
got
so stupid that you never
over.
practiced because I have like a very specific memory of seeing you at regionals and I was like, this nigga looks like he's in the Olympics. You had like the fucking spike cleats. You were wearing like the singlet, and like me and my friends were
I was not wearing a singlet.
Wearing something really intense.
Not wearing those.
I know it was something really intense because all of my friends were like from my shitty little alternative French high school. Were like, you know that guy.
He's jacked.
No, you just looked really intense.
They were trying to holler, or no, probably not.
I can't have fun.
No, I think I was in Central Tech. Probably. Yeah, I was just wearing a track uniform. I only did track 2 years because I didn't want to practice, and the teacher, I just wanted to show up. Yeah. Oh, but anyways,
But you decided when you were 14, you were like,
I'm gonna go to the league, and it doesn't matter what I did after that. I just in my head, you already made the decision. So by any means necessary, you have to get there.
You can't buy that. You can't bottle that.
True. Yeah. So
that's because I honestly feel like if you have that in the core of your being, if you've been lucky enough to cross paths with something, for you it was football, for me it was dance, was something that ignites that in you, because I think that is, there's a little bit of that in all of us. You just have to follow that at all costs, because it sounds fucking so mumbo jumbo, but when I tell you, things start to conspire around it. All of a sudden this dance scholarship is available for me. That's weird. All of a sudden I just literally cross paths with a guy that's like, I'm gonna be your mentor. You're gonna take my class for free. I'm gonna train you, and I'm gonna put my foot on your neck like I would somebody 5 years older than you. Things just start to manifest, because I think it's also something about you're moving forward with such momentum that people have no choice but to see it and to recognize it.
No, 100%. You know what? I hate the word manifest, but 100% when you just decide everything does open up. It's like, yo, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. By no matter what, I think you start looking for things now. It's like you make it aware in your mind. Like now, I know I have to get here, but how? What like avenues I'm gonna take? How? What vehicles are gonna help me get over there? And then you start seeing, oh my goodness, look at this opportunity here and there. But yeah, no, it's honestly, it's a. I have to say, before, like, we always do the top 5 athletes in Bleecker, and I think it's always consists of males, right? But I think we fucked up. So I'm gonna be the first one to say it. You are number 2 athlete in Bleecker of all time.
Cut the cameras. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm number 1 for sure. I'm definitely number 1.
For who?
No, not the streets. The streets, no. I'm definitely number 1 athlete in Bleecker.
Based
But
on
you are
what?
number 2. Based off of like just my natural abilities, what I was able to achieve with the limited work that I did. I think that
we're not grading on a bell curve.
You know, we are.
Errol, we're not saying because you worked less but you got further.
No, we're just talking about I'm a better athlete. Like you are the best dancer in Bleecker.
It
I'll
feels
give
like
you
a
that.
cop out.
I might be number 2 for that too. but no, you're the second best athlete. I'm gonna close with saying you're the second best athlete in Bleecker. Congratulations. You're the only female on the list.
That's not an achievement. I want to be number 1.
But
I am number 1. I know I am. But if you don't want to admit it, that's fine. Dela Hive, let me know in the comments who number 1 is.
The Dela Hive. Oh no! An important thing I didn't want to talk to you about was I see you've been posting a lot about the things with terrible transition, by the way. But I see you've been posting. I see you've been posting a lot of things about the indigenous I don't know how you would label
indigenous
it, but
rights.
The indigenous rights, but all the kids being found, the unmarked graves and stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to get your opinion on it because I have some thoughts, but I just want to get some clarity from you. Like maybe you know a little bit more.
Do you have a more direct question, like what? Like why I'm posting about it, or?
Yeah, sure. Let's start with that.
So I've always really kind of had. I mean, I don't know about always, but I've just always had a really revolutionary spirit, and it's funny because my mom is actually very chill politically, but she just always instilled me so many ethics about injustice. Yeah. But she would just talk about it in everyday life, this person did something that's not fair. Yeah. But I think it was so deep in me that I started to really see it in society, and obviously university helped, and just meeting people from different walks of life helped and stuff. But I don't know. I just feel with indigenous rights, with black people's rights worldwide, with queer community rights, ability rights, I just feel I have been on the wrong end of so many of those different disadvantages in society that I just it's that poem. I hate that this is kind of whatever, poetic or corny, whatever you want to call it, but it's when they came for these people, I didn't say anything. When they came for these people, I didn't say anything. And then when they came for me, nobody spoke up for me. There was no one left to speak up for me, and I just feel that's always running in the back of my mind.
I you know what? That's kind of what plays in my mind. But I didn't even know that poem existed. But
okay, I'll send it to you.
But when you're saying those words, I'm having an issue, and I know it's selfish, and why is your face turning that you're about to die? I'm not gonna say anything crazy. I think a lot of people might be feeling this way. It's just and I feel I understand that life is unfair and things happen and it doesn't justify. But I feel it feels there's a sore spot in me. I understand there's no when you hear a story about kids being found in unmarked graves, you're what the fuck is going on? What kind of criminal evil monsters are these, right? And things need to happen to prevent that. And when you hear about the things that were last year the Asian people were getting the worst of it.
Yeah. And
then you hear about the gay people getting you start hearing in all these movements to protect, and I'm fuck, this is good obviously, but I'm where the hell were you when I was when it was my turn?
When Black Lives.
Yeah, and I feel
that's fair.
I feel yo, how is it? And I don't think it's individuals. I think it's the corporate body, government, what's being pushed in our face.
Yeah.
It's 2 years ago, 3 years ago, let's just use Tamir Rice, got killed, got murdered, and it was just like isolated incident. It was like, and you can keep scaling back years and years, and people are just saying, well, no, it's not really a thing, and da 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 da, and but me, like having gone through personal experiences myself and understanding that this is not just him, or just her, or just him, you know, it's like, yo, this happens all the time, but everyone trying to like find it, like, but does it? And but now, a year of hate for Asian people, and I love the Asian people. Right, I live in Bleecker. I live in Little Filipino, Little Philippines. Yeah, so, but it's like, and I'm with them. Yeah. But I'm like,
where was that energy?
Yeah, like, and again, it's not about the people. It's more about the corporation. What are they doing?
Yeah. So I feel like that's why. So I gotta like fucking abolish everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, listen, because we can't. And this is something like, I was at a protest recently and we kept chanting this and it stuck in my mind. That was like, we keep us safe.
Yeah.
We can't rely on other bodies because, like, you know, like we were talking about earlier, we need to be suspicious of the government. We need to be suspicious of corporations and big organizations because there is history for corruption. There is history. Basically, the way the political sphere moves, in my opinion, is they're about to do whatever fuck shit they want.
Yeah.
Until we push and we provide resistance. So what they're doing right now is they're in a perpetual state of meeting resistance from different communities. Oh, the black community's mad. Let's do a little Juneteenth holiday. Oh, the Asians are mad. Let's pass a bill in Congress and make sure, like, you know what I mean? They're not really trying to build what I think is just a safe society for us all. They're treating things like the way that the media was trying to treat different black children and black men and women dying. Yeah. This is an isolated incident, so let's put a Band-Aid just over this. That's what they're doing with a lot of different communities. So we don't see any kind of long-term change in any one community at all, especially not the black community, because they're too busy saying, like, let's just damage control this, on to the next. Let's just damage control this. When, like, the reality is, especially for indigenous people, it's been an issue for years. People have been talking about residential schools for years.
100%. And for the record, I'm an official Métis. Like,
really?
Actually. Like,
whose side, mom or dad?
My mom. Like, actually.
I believe that, because Scotia, right?
Yeah, no, like, actually, Nadia has a card.
Wow, I didn't know. That's so cool.
But again, like, obviously I don't, it doesn't, like, it's not hitting me the same way it would hit.
Because you have a different relationship to that part of your identity.
Yeah, but, like, I understand, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm like, well, fuck the indigenous people and the Asians and the thing. It's all about black people, but it's like, to see the Band-Aid that the Asian community got was, even though it's not like a long-term fix, it was like even a gesture. Like, what about, like, I'm like, we don't even get a Band-Aid. We get like, yo, you're okay. It happens. So I'm more so like, I guess I'm frustrated, and like last year this time, or when the George Floyd killing happened, I wouldn't even be able to like verbalize, like, because my frustration went at such a high level. Like, I actually went on Instagram. I went through, like, people, I would like view their stories. Like, okay, I'm not gonna say anything. Like, I don't use social media for that. Okay. But I was seeing what people, like, white people specifically on my account. I would see what they were saying, and if they would be like, oh yeah, I'm just here on the beach, I'm like, no, unfollow, because I was just so angry. Like, yo, it's. And then the Stop Asian Hate, Pride for Everybody, da 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 da. What? How? Like, what is going on? Like.
But I would say that, and also the timeline of the last year is so reflective of the way black people organize and the way that black rights sets the tone for different communities of marginalization everywhere, because basically that type of shit, and I think like, you know, a lot of black people experienced that during like, you know, the George Floyd uprisings, where we were watching people just continue with their lives, and like, even if you're not angry at that person, distance is developing, because you're like, wow, what a nice life you have, that you're just like unbothered.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And then you just, even if you're not mad at them, you just feel far away from them. You're like, I can't relate. I can't. Like, what would we even have a conversation about? Like, my heart feels heavy today, and you're on a patio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to say that. Anyway, So
No,
I think,
say that. Not to say that.
well, because I was gonna say not to say that like everyone needs to feel it in the exact same way. I think everyone grieves differently.
Yeah, I mean,
You know
but
what
they're
Some
not
people
grieving.
are like, I need to throw something off a balcony.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I want to cry in a dark room. But yeah, to see what feels like, and obviously social media is not a representation of anything, of everything, but to see what feels like you being unaffected.
Yeah.
Just makes me feel like I'm literally living on a different planet than you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I think that, like, you know, so the way that it looks like to me in my personal history, the year looks like, that George Floyd shit was the first time I've ever seen just like even only black people rising up and all sharing kind of like public rage and just being like on some shit.
Yeah.
And I think that set the groundwork for a lot of the different things that followed.
Came after, okay.
And like, even like I was talking to my Palestinian friend because she was like, I can't believe how many people are talking about Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking about Palestine my whole life because she's Palestinian, obviously. But she was saying, I think it's because of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
I think people realize that the way that you show up online, the way that you show up in your life says a lot, even if you think you're trying to be casual about shit.
Yeah.
And I think what is unfortunate, and I think your frustration is super justified, is that like, why do we always have to be first?
Yeah, it's like the first guy on the hill.
You know what I mean? And I think like a lot of like, if you look at like indigenous and black activists like in the 60s in America, they were learning from each other.
Yeah.
You think about like Grace Lee Boggs learning from the Black Panther Party. She was married to a black man. Like a lot of these communities have learned how to organize and fight back and resist from black communities, and we continue to get the short end of the stick because we are continued to be seen as like too angry.
Yeah,
we're not resisting properly. Oh, the Asians are so nice when they protest, but the black people, they're so angry. There's this whole connotation of like, we're not resisting the right way, and I'm like, yeah, because we out here dying.
Yeah, for 400 plus years. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, there's literally like across the globe, there's anti-black sentiment, and we're supposed to be the nicest. Make it make sense.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You did make me feel a little bit better, like knowing that like, if that like, it is indeed true about like you piggybacking off of like the black movement and it helping, like, because like I said, kids shouldn't be dying. Period. Like of any race at all. If you're a gay man or a lesbian woman or whatever, you shouldn't have any fears because of who you love. If you identify as a certain sex or gender or whatever, you should be able to do your thing, because really the truth is you should just mind your fucking business if you don't like it anyways. Like that's really the truth. That's how I feel, right?
Yeah.
And
like literally, whose business is whatever's in somebody's underwear? Whose business is that? Not mine.
Exactly. Like especially if you don't even want to like get in. Like if you're not even talking to, what is the point of you saying, yo, this is God's work? You've never seen God. I'll be honest with you. You've never seen God. And people talk about God talks to me. How? What did he say? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So people just create shit to justify their bad actions and their attitude.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Like I said, I love people.
Yes.
I do. I hate stupidity, but I love people, and I think there's good in everybody. And honestly, I'm just so sour when I see all of the things going up, and
it's hard not to be.
I'm like, what the fuck? So like, I may have not have posted anything for anybody else, but I didn't post anything for Black Lives Matter. Okay. Either. Just because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, when you guys are out in the George Floyd gets shot, right? Everybody protests. In my head, that doesn't make any sense. For me, like, my way of resistance would not be that. Like, if something happens to you, you get slapped upside the head, and we're like, yo, you don't want this, and we go outside to get slapped upside the head again. I'm not that. I say, call me when it's real. Like, when it's like, because I don't understand. What am I gonna do? I'm not gonna go there to get choked out in front of a bunch of people saying, stop. So, and this is what happens. They come and they beat people up, and now I'm getting beat up, and everyone's looking at me talking about stop. What? Nah, I'm good. They will not beat my ass. When like, I guess like the 1960s is the greatest example we have that was like, was real. Like, I feel like this is just not, this is like more of like, they're parading around, performative. Everybody performing. It's not, I don't feel like, because they go from the Black Lives Matter protest or the Pride protest or the Stop Asian Hate protest, and then they hit the patio, and they're like, it's how honest are you being when you post something on Instagram? And if you're not being honest, then just don't post it. Be real.
Okay, so I want to complicate that idea.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I think if protests are not for you, that's chill. I think what I've learned as much in, you know, trying to be in organizing spaces for years is that nobody's resistance should look the same, and that's just like, that's really simple-minded. To be like, to overthrow a very complicated system, we all have to do the exact same thing, which is show up with a sign. There need to be people that have conversations with family. There needs to be people that write laws. There need to be people that actively are, you know, like dismantling systems from the inside. Like, so I get that. But I think, yes, for sure, there is something to be said about the performative aspect of activism, because I think a lot of people that didn't really feel attached to any kind of like injustice are seeing the clap back against that post George Floyd. I think a lot of people are saying, I'm doing this. I mean, maybe they're not actually even saying it consciously, but I think they're reacting subconsciously and saying, I'm gonna move in this way because this is how to avoid conflict. So if I once a year show up at a Pride protest and then like, I don't know, maybe 2 months from now donate to a Stop Asian Hate GoFundMe, then like nobody should be able to say anything.
I'm staying out the way.
Yeah, I'm staying out the way where I don't actually have any long-term investments in these communities.
Yeah.
But I do think that I think it's good to hop from one protest to the other, because the whole thing about like division is like people are trying to, I mean, not people. It serves the system for us to be divided into these different things, but we're fighting one common enemy, which is white patriarchal supremacy. So why are we all focused on like, this is who I am? No, I'm going to show up for my brother's rally because who's fucking with the Asian people? White patriarchal supremacy. Who's fucking with the indigenous people? White patriarchal supremacy. Who's fucking with, you know what I mean? Like, I think it makes sense to link all of the different struggles, because I think that to me does the difference between kumbaya, let's hold hands, I'm so happy I'm black, and I want to improve my condition, so I have to look at whose foot is on my neck. Yeah. And if that foot is the same foot on his neck, why shouldn't we link up and talk and strategize?
No, you're right. I think if there was more like, maybe there are more focused and organized group. I'm just looking at it from like what I see on, like I just see a lot of like, it's just like, just no. That, like, I'm looking at it like, no, you're a liar. You don't care. Like, you're just but for likes, even for likes, like you're like, oh yeah, no, I was here. I'm just here with my people at the Black Lives Matter protest and da 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 da. Cause I have a black boyfriend and da da. I was sitting. I'm gonna wrap this part up with one story.
Okay. I'm
sitting on a porch of a friend of mine. He's a white guy, and this is right after the George Floyd thing, and I'm some security guards are like roughing up a guy, and then but there's like 5 security guards and one like Tamil guy, and they were like roughing him up, and I'm like, yo, I'm telling him, yo, if it gets out of hand, I'm jumping in, and you better jump in behind me, and then I'm like, and he's like, well, like, but no, they're just doing the job. I'm like, yeah, but there's a difference between doing the job and thing, and then we started talking about what happened with the police, and they're like, well, what if he was doing something wrong, and like, because they try to, especially, well, him in this particular situation, he was trying to make sense of why this could have happened, because he thought because a white guy did something bad that it's his like burden to bear. Yeah. So he like his guilt was like he was defending. I'm like, yo, no, this is not. So
like maybe he's a nice guy. You don't know. Not
yeah,
all cops.
Like he has a kid too. Not all cops. It's like, what if he was just one bad apple? Like I'm like, there's 6 cops watching till I kill him, and then he was like, well, so I mean, needless to say, he told me to get off his porch.
Okay.
He said, get off my porch. I don't want to talk about it. Because this is not and I just like you and you're like, just be yourself, just be funny. I'm like, what? Like all I heard was dance. I'm like, whoa. If I dance, it's because I want to dance for my enjoyment versus me being a poppy show. So yeah, I don't know how that related to the thing, but I just had to get
no. I think we're talking about like this idea of like how we become post George Floyd. So like we've always been black. It's just not new to us. But what we're seeing. I'll fight you.
Oh, sorry.
But what we're seeing is people react to our blackness in a new way.
Yeah.
We're new people all of a sudden when we're like, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe I have better language for some of the things that I've always felt. But that's hard for people. But I think like, you know, so ultimately also I mean, I think what you're doing with like, you know, it seems like petty, but it's actually like really healthy by like looking at people and being like, this does not serve me, unfollow. But then also making the decisions to sometimes have the conversation. I could have unfollowed, but instead, like, I'm gonna push in because, like, we are all on different stages in our learning journeys, and when you're confronted with information that turns upside down a lot of ideas you had about who you are, there will always be resistance, there will always be tension in myself too. In myself about, like, a lot of, like, my disability rights or differently abled rights that I'm trying to learn about. I'm realizing that I have a lot of internalized ableism that's like, oh, because I'm a dancer, I've always been able to use my body. I think differently about productivity.
See, it just gets, for me, it gets so, like my mind, this is when my mind starts to be, I'm like, yo, okay. Racism is very clear for me. Because racism or, like, homophobia or, like, that's so, it's like, it's very clear.
Yeah.
I don't like you, and I'm doing something to harm you because you're black or because you're gay or whatever. When you're saying ableism, right? It becomes, like, it's difficult for me to process, like, because I'm like, well, but what, like.
So if I can use it in the same way as, like, racism and homophobia. So there's obvious, explicit harm. You're black, I'm gonna hurt you in this moment. But also racism looks like, you're black, I'm gonna withhold resources from you. I'm going to put obstacles in your path because I operate on lack mentality. There's only this much money in the world and I want to have the most access to it. So as much as it's like, you have to stop harming me, it's like we also have to even the playing field. So that's what we have to do with ableism.
No, sorry. I just have something so bad in my mind.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna.
Don't do it.
I'll take it later. I'll take it.
Anyway, this is getting really dark. I'm really happy you had that conversation with your friend. I hope that you guys have mended. I just think we can't throw everyone away.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that, like, as life goes on, your circle changes constantly and re-evolves and things, and that's fine. And yeah, you know. To all the people who are struggling, whether it be black, white, gay, trans, Palestine, like the whole Asian people, everybody's going through their own thing, and like you said, maybe it's time to further connect and figure out, like, what's the real issue, and instead of protesting, not instead of protesting, but as well as protesting, like, start to do different things to start building up the community. But I think that me and you had a great conversation. This is the number 2 athlete, Christina Dela Cruz. She's exception. Oh, just before we finish, just tell them. I don't know if they're gonna make it this far, but just tell them, about your accolades. I think that's very important. So just so they don't think, like, oh, she's a dancer, but who she danced for. I think it's important they know that you're a real dancer.
So I have toured internationally with artists such as Drake, Cardi B, Becky G. I've been on award shows like the Grammys, the BET Awards, the Billboard Awards. I've worked for major film and television production houses like Disney, Netflix, Fox, brands like Old Navy, Heineken, Burger King, Smirnoff, Air Canada. But, you know, just a regular, degular Bleecker girl.
That's just the modest brag. I love it. It was just so a light brag up top the Bleecker. This has been another episode of the Page Go Podcast. And good night.